Welcome back. This is the OET reading subtest presented to you by Aspire Education, and my name is Dr. Anushree Chandra. So these are our email handles and our WhatsApp number, which is dedicated for discussion of OET matter. So please try to join the WhatsApp group for more updates or any other free webinars that we will be conducting. And yes, so if you have any queries, please email us at oet@aspiretolab.com. Hopefully I'm audible. All right, so yes, let's see how the reading module goes. All right, so the reading module is for an hour, and there are three parts again, just like the listening module. There are three: part A, part B, and part C. Same number of questions, 42, same amount of marks. So part A is comprises of 20 marks, and C is for 16 marks. Topic again, it is generic healthcare interest, because as I mentioned before, the listening and the reading papers will be common for all professions. All right. So let's look at the structure of the reading module. Part A consists of expeditious reading, which is for 15 minutes. In other words, this is the kind of text that you will have to read, speed read, so that you can finish fast. So yeah, it'll have 4 short texts, and which will be, it comprises of a single healthcare topic, and you will have 20 questions that follow. So part A is the one that will have a diversity of questions. For example, it'll have match the following, or say match the paragraph to the question, to be more specific. Sentence completion, short answer questions, single word answers, and all of that. So let me just show you how the part A looks like, so that you guys have a better idea of the paper. So as you can see on the screen, there are 4 short texts. It can be in the form of tables or diagrams or notes, or a piece of information that is just presented to you. So there will be 4 short texts, and the questions that follow will look something like this. So you will have to match the paragraph. So each paragraph, say text A, text B, text C, and D, to so yeah. So for each question, say 1 to 7, you have to decide which text, that is A, B, C, or D, the information comes from. So you may use the letter more than once. So this is what I mean by matching the following, or matching the text phrases, or extracts to the questions given here. So then next set of questions is usually where you have to either give a single word or a short phrase answer. So this is your part A, and this question booklet will be collected after the 15-minute time limit. So part B and C consists of careful reading. So basically these are your long extracts. Well, you start off with 100 to 150 words in part B, so they kind of warm you up to part C basically. So each short text will have a question, a multiple choice question, and there'll be 6 such questions for 6 extracts. And part C will have extracts that are around 800 words, and you will have 8 questions each. So this will be a 4 option multiple choice question. Both part B and C is a single booklet and it'll run for 45 minutes. Yeah, and part B and C happen, one after the other. You will have your part A and part B simultaneously during the entire reading test. Part A, on the other hand, as I just mentioned, will be collected right after it's done. So let's take a look at part B. This is how it'll look. So there is a short text and then a question. Part C, on the other hand, as you can see, 800-word extract, which is followed by 8 questions. And then you'll have another long extract and then another 8 questions. So that will be the end of part C. Let's just do a quick rain check. I hope I'm audible because a lot of people can't hear me. Okay, can no one hear me? Please check your internet connection because even if you have a slow network, this happens. Because from my end, I don't see any problem. All right, so let's get back to the reading module. Let's address a few frequently asked questions. Do I lose marks for spelling mistakes? Yes, you will. In the reading module, you are expected to give the right answer. You must always use the correct spelling. So responses that are not spelled correctly will not be given any marks. At the same time, you will not have a negative marking. There is no concept of being penalized or negative marking in the OET. But yes, again, when it comes to spellings related to, say, American English or British English, both are accepted. For example, fetus, Foetus, and fetus are both right. They are both accepted. This is not the same case in listening subtest. I hope you guys remember that. So can I use abbreviations in the reading subtest? Abbreviations are usually not accepted in the reading subtest until and unless they appear in the extracts or the texts that have been given in the question paper. If they are mentioned in the question paper, yes, it is all right to go ahead and use them. But if not, please don't. Do my answers have to use the same words as given in the text? Well, again, this is a common rule for both reading and listening. In part A, you must use the exact form of the word or a short phrase as it is given in the text. Again, it only applies for part A, not B and C. B and C, you anyways have to, shade a lozenges. So, yeah. So how many questions do I need to get correct for the reading subtest? So usually, again, in case they vary the number of questions, then the minimum marks will differ. But say, assuming that there are 42 questions, and for a grade B, that is a scale of 350, you will need to score at least 30. Where do I write my answers for the reading subtest? Well, in part A, you should write your answers clearly in the spaces given in the question booklet. Part B and C, again, you shade the lozenge clearly, and this is assessed by uh, computer, whereas part A is again checked by two expert OET assessors. Do I have time to check my answers for the reading subtest? You will not be given any extra time at the end of the subtest to check your answers. So yeah, and also remember that there is a strict time limit for part A. Like I mentioned earlier, part A paper will be collected at the end of 15 minutes. So you will basically not have any time for part A. For part B and C, it depends on you. Like if in case you finish the test earlier, then yes, you'll have time to go through. But as from the OET end, officially you're not given any extra time to check your answers. So why have I been discussing different types of questions? It's always better to know the different types of questions to actively practice reading strategies to answer them more effectively. So basically, when you have an idea, you know what to expect. You're not surprised by the question format, and when that happens, you end up getting more marks. So let's discuss a few question types. So there are 5 possible question types in the OET reading subtest. Uh, Again, we need to know this so that we can score better, so that your test performance improves. The multiple choice question is basically in part B and C. So these 4 refer to part A. So part A can have matching or finding information, short answer question, sentence completion, and note completion. So let's look at a few skills to develop, or say tips and tricks, as to how to go about the reading subtest. To locate the information, as I mentioned, skimming and scanning. Uh, this is even more useful in the reading subtest because this is where you full-fledged put it to use. So part A usually focuses on reading quickly and efficiently. So skimming. So when you skim read, your eye just needs to, move over the surface of the text very quickly in order to just understand the meaning without looking at every word. So you focus on meaningful content words like nouns and verbs and adverbs. And as I said, you learn to ignore the functional words as, like, for example, at, in, the, and words like those. So skimming is basically reading a text quickly to get a general idea of the meaning, while scanning is reading to find specific information. For example, numbers or names or a technical term. So these two go hand in hand for your reading module. There is one important tip that I would like to give. It's, just that if you take more than 40 to 45 seconds to find an answer, or more than 45 seconds, and if you still haven't found an answer for a particular question in the reading module, please move on to the next one. Because there is a good chance that when you're actually searching for the other answers, you might end up finding an answer for the question that you left in between, or you just end up reading the entire text by the time you reach the last question. So by then you'll have a better idea as to where or which extract the answer lies in. So sentence completion. So look at the, like, whenever there is a gap in the sentence, uh, you look at it and then you just ask yourself, like, what type of information is missing. So I'll just give you a clear example in the next few slides. So just bear with me. So what happens is you select the keywords in the sentence around the gap and you scan for keywords or synonyms in the passage. So I think it's better if I give you an example with the paper after a few slides. So yeah, you focus on paraphrase. So as I mentioned again in the listening subtest, they will not always use the same technical terms. So you know, just pay attention to paraphrased words. So paraphrase includes changes which are mostly to vocabulary or grammar. In the OET reading part B, the keyword you find in the question will rarely be the same as it appears in the text. For example, say baby. They might have used the term infant in the extract or the paragraph. So pay attention to those. Like, don't look for the exact words because that is hardly the case. Another example would be, say, baby's legs, and you might find it as infant's limbs in the passage. Gist. So reading for gist. In OET reading part B and C, you may be asked a question that tests your understanding of the gist of a text. So gist is basically the general meaning or the purpose of a text. You don't have to actually understand word to word, and you don't have to interpret exactly. You just need to get the main idea of the text. What the purpose is, or what the expression might be, or what the speaker is trying to justify, or trying to put across. So for answering multiple choice questions, a good strategy is to skim and and then scan for the actual information that you need. So basically, let me just tell you in short how to go about it in the next slide. All right. So, all right, for the words here, like these are for, this is how you go about your multiple choice questions. First, cover the answer or ignore the answer option. Don't look at it right in the beginning. What you do is you go through the question and then you go to the extract or the passage and you try to highlight words that you might feel is important to answer the question. And then you scan read. So basically, this is when you read word to word, as in you'll have to ignore the articles and non-functional words basically. So you scan, as in you read properly to get the answer, and you will arrive at an answer. By then, you will know which option is the right option. So you select it and then you go back. So let's say, for example, you have found an answer in the third sentence and you have highlighted that. So you mark your option, go back to the highlighted sentence and just cross check if that's your answer. Because sometimes it so happens that later on in the passage, they might have contradicted what they would have said. So you just have to be very careful of such uh, changes. So generally, otherwise, how do we go about the reading module? So we identify, we scan, and then we read carefully, get an answer, say mark an answer, and then you skim. Skim is basically fast reading. You just try to get the purpose of it. All right. So I have a practice test for you, and if you guys can notice that I have put out two handouts. So reading part A. So there is a PDF named reading part A. So this is what that is about. So basically, those who are accessing through a cell phone or any smaller screen, and you're not able to see these four extracts, you can find it in the handout. It's labeled as reading part A. So please try to download it now so that we can do the sample test together. And also, the questions here, I have sent another handout. It's called, it's a screenshot actually. So please try to download that or try to open it on a separate screen so that as you read, you can answer these questions. So have you guys been able to get your hands on the handouts? So there are two of them. One is this page where it contains all the four texts of part A. And the next is this question paper sample. So please try to download it. I don't think, well, that'll take 15 minutes to solve. So I don't think I should be doing it here because that'd be a waste of time. So please download those two and try to solve them. And please finish it within, well, the actual time for reading part A is 15 minutes, but please try to do it within 10, so that you get a better grip of part A. And do send your answers across on the WhatsApp group because I'll be looking forward to it. All right, so I have a question from part B. So as you can see, it can be an email, it can be a memo, it could be anything. So I haven't given all the questions. I've just selected a few. We will be doing this here now. So guys, take 2 minutes. Try to use these strategies that we just discussed. Yes. And try to solve them. We will go back to that slide. Yeah. So this is what you guys should be doing now. Skim, or say when it comes to multiple choice, read the question, skim the paragraph, go back to the choice that you have, the answers, and then scan the text. And then you pick your answer and cross check. So this is part B. This is what I mean by gist, because in this question you are, reading for the gist of it. You don't need to know the exact word-to-word meaning. So they're saying this: the email is reminding the staff that they're just, what do you say? Making sure that you get a general idea of the email, like the point of the email at the end of the day. So this is your extract. And this is your question. So what you do is you read the question, the email is reminding staff that now you skim this, find an answer, and then scan it. Would anyone like to participate and try to enter the answer in the question box? Yeah, I'll give you guys 2 minutes. Assuming that you guys went through the text, I will be giving the answer now. So I have the last sample for the day. So here's another question. So what does this extract from a handbook tell us about epileptic drugs? Again, you're only reading for gist. You don't have to understand word by word. Just try to get the general idea and try to get an answer, and then you can cross check. These are the kind of questions that will happen quickly, and you shouldn't be wasting that much time either for part B, because they're not asking you to interpret word by word, right? So the sooner you do this, the more time you have for part C, and your part C consists of two long 800-word extracts, and I'm pretty sure you need all the time over there. So try to uh, do this as fast as you can. All right, let's move on to the answer. Uh, those who want to do part A later on and have downloaded the handouts or taken a screenshot of the questions, do take a screenshot of the answers as well so that you can cross check and let me know. And part B, both the fifth and the sixth question, the answer was A. So here, the email is reminding the staff that the benefits to patients of using bed rails can outweigh the dangers. And the answer for question number 6 would be they may be useful for patients who are not fully responsive. If you would like to take a screenshot of the answers, I will give you a moment. All right. Yes, we have a person who has answered. That's great. You've got them right. And as to the rest of you, again, practice makes you better. So please practice. Please try to download these handouts if possible and send in your answers on the WhatsApp group. And thank you so much for all those who have participated in giving the answers. That's lovely. And again, I would like to highlight that this is just for sample or practice purpose only, and this is not the actual test paper. Uh, what you learned here was that you um, learned how to manage your time and practice with time. So when you guys are doing it at home or back home, set a timer. Do it with the timer because that what do you say reflects the actual test day. All right. So thank you so much for attending the webinar. We hope this session was informative.